Hi, everybody. This is Tom with Culture Chap. So, today I want to talk about color importance in your pieces, in your plays, in your musicals, in your operas, in your ballets. Now, I want to bring up the film The Namesake, starring Cal Penn. Now, in The Namesake, it's an Indian family. And they move from India, and they have, their children are American. And the character's name is Gogol, and his second name is Nikhil, and he goes by Nick for the scenes that we're talking about. And it is called The Namesake, so it's a lot about his identity, his struggles with an unusual name, that kind of thing. Now, in the sections we're talking about for color importance, Nick has decided to become an architect after a visit to the Taj Mahal in Agra, India, and that's great. And he's starting to start business, and he has a white girlfriend, Maxine, which is fine, and hangs out with her family, who are very rich, and they want to get married and all this. And suddenly, Ashok, his father, dies. Rather suddenly, it's awful. And Nick goes back to the funeral. Maxine shows up, which is appropriate. She shows up in all black, which is appropriate for her. She doesn't come for the funeral, which is appropriate. She comes for the reception afterwards. And she walks into a house full of Indian people who, of course, are all in white, which is appropriate for them. That's how they do it. Now, Ashima, the mother, she's been working at the library, and her best friend is white, also another blonde woman, and she's sort of in off-white. She knows what's up. She's respecting the Indian people. She's mostly in off-white. The outfit looks like something that she sort of pulled together, not having an outfit that was all white, ready to go. And she rushes over to Maxine. Hi, can I help you? Blah, blah. And she takes him downstairs to the basement where Nick is, who, of course, in tradition, has shaved his head. Okay, that's Indian tradition, which Maxine is sort of taken aback by, but she doesn't say much about. And he's surprised to see her. I didn't ask you to be here. He becomes rude immediately. He seems embarrassed to have her there, and it's just them in the basement, and she goes to comfort him, and the physical touch he pulls away from. I'm not sure if that's appropriate or not, but it's what Nick is doing. And we're sort of, the audience is trying to believe that Maxine is being inappropriate. She comes inappropriately dressed, or does she? She touches him. Is that inappropriate? We don't know. And then she says, I will get tickets for us to go to India to spread your father's ashes. And he really flips out, and he breaks up with her on the spot, which is shocking. Now, as the audience, we're meant to be torn about Maxine, I believe. Do we think that she was inappropriate? I'm not sure. Was her outfit inappropriate because the color? Maybe. Was her saying, she said, we are going to India together. Should she have said, I would like to come with you? Whatever. Later on in the film, Ashima, his mother, is like, forgive Maxine. She did what was appropriate for her. And, she came to the funeral. That's very thoughtful, But Maxine is gone forever. So, now I want you to think about what you think of this. We're meant to be rid of Maxine. We're meant to think that she was inappropriate. And we're meant to be questioning about it. So what she wore was good. Her sticking out like a sore thumb, especially when all the few other white people were wearing white, what would this be like on stage? What are you doing? So, what are you doing in your show costume-wise and set-wise that is appropriate or inappropriate? What if you're doing a show, as a lot of shows have, where there's a wedding and there are differing cultures, okay? What if it was a white girl marrying an Indian man and everyone is in saris and very fancy Indian wedding clothes, which are tremendous, and she chooses to wear a sari and the bindi and everything? Some people would be angry about this. I know that when you do a show like that, I know as a director, you get lots of nasty letters about things that the audience believes is inappropriate. But isn't she being respectful to the wedding, the culture that she's marrying into? Where's the locale? Is that important to the story? Is she going to India with her family to marry this man and everybody's in Indian wedding clothes? Except for the few Westerners, her family. Would it be appropriate for them to get into wedding clothes that are Indian or just her? What do you want to show with what you're doing? Okay? This goes to set, costume, props, everything. I recently saw a Christmas Carol that comes on every year in my area, and the actors that played some of the key parts weren't available, so they had new actors doing some of the key parts. But almost everything was the same. It's sort of a duplicate every year, and they twisted slightly. And I thought the new actors were very, very good, but something was going on with the costuming and the set. The costuming on the new actors did not match the rest of the actors. They're supposed to be the poor, they're supposed to be this, they're members of the Cratchit family. And for all the poor people in this play were always wearing gray, black, and blue and sort of shredded clothes. And some of their clothes were purple and peach, which was kind of bizarre. And they really stuck out. Also, they were on a set that had been recycled, which I'm very much in favor of. But the Cratchits now are living in a fancy house because the set pieces from the show before were vibrant colors and they hadn't been dulled down, teched down, painted down, whatever term you use in your country. The shapes of the set pieces were perfect, but they're too vibrant. And frankly, we look to the Cratchits now like, you're kind of a middle range fancy family now. Pleading poor. Of course, that's not the story. We know the Cratchits are poor because we really know this story. But what if you're doing a play or a musical or an opera where we don't really know the story? This would be confusing because of the color choices, the costume choices, the prop choices. All right? So, what are you doing in your own pieces to circumnavigate this, to really tell your story correctly? Think about the cultures that you're representing on stage. Maxine is wearing black to an Indian funeral, which was appropriate for her background. Do we consider her dumb now? I mean, there are massive amounts of countries who wear white as funeral clothes. A lot of countries, and a couple of countries who wear pale pink. Or clothes that aren't nice. They're, very lived-in clothes. You're not meant to wear something super nice to a funeral. You're meant to be not comfortable, but not showing off. What is appropriate for that? Wearing white to a funeral is not unheard of, especially if you're dating someone from that culture. Was she wrong? Or is this what we want to do with Maxine's character to get rid of her? And are we just doing this to have the audience question, is she inappropriate? Is he inappropriate? What's inappropriate? This is just a bad situation altogether. Okay? But the problem is when you're lazy in your research for your play and you choose something that is very radically misunderstood on stage. If you're doing something on stage that you want to make a point, if Maxine is on stage, we're making a point about her coming to that funeral dressed like that. Okay, there's a point. The costumers of the movie made the right choice. Maxine is not dumb. Is she uninformed? Yes. Are we meant to forget about her after this? Yes, because he moves on to the next girl. Okay, and we're just feeling bad about Maxine, and the mother's like, that wasn't a good situation. Okay? Ashima really tells him, what you did, not good. Her trying in her way was about as thoughtful as she can be. So we're doing that on stage. Don't make a mistake because you're being cheap or quick. There's always other things you can do to make everything fit, to make the information you're putting out for your piece completely understandable, completely digested by the audience, and not distracted by a set piece, a costume piece, giving them meaning that you didn't intend. All right? There's always things you can do. Always. All right. We're going to talk a lot more about color references, color meanings across the globe. YouTube is a global platform, and what your meaning is in different countries and what you're trying to say about characters and set and design has different meanings in different parts of the world. What is your audience? What will they understand completely? Because you don't, again, you don't want to get hung up on these small details that are going to distract them. You know, like when a prop drops on the stage and all the energy goes for that prop that suddenly needs to be taken care of? You don't want to do that. You know that prop that no one picks up? You know that situation? And all the energy is looking at that? You don't want that visually. All right. Please like and subscribe. Please subscribe. I really need subscribers to make my channel grow. All right. We'll talk again. Happy holidays. Bye.